My child, stop for a moment. Do not let your hand move past these words, because something is unfolding around your heart right now, and the timing of this message is not ordinary. You may have arrived here believing this was only another passing moment, another voice among many, another message that might comfort you for a few seconds before the world pulled you away again. But pause here. Something has shifted. Someone connected to your soul has reached a point they can no longer ignore, and what happened has shaken them deeply enough to make silence impossible. Your soulmate needs to talk to you immediately. Not because they are bored. Not because they suddenly remembered you in a passing moment. Not because they want to reopen an old conversation without purpose. Something big has happened, and it has changed the way they see you, the way they see themselves, and the way they see the future they once thought they could control. Stay close to these words, because the truth is not going to appear all at once. It has been hidden behind hesitation, pride, fear, and circumstances you were never allowed to witness. You saw the silence, but you did not see what was happening inside it. You felt the distance, but you did not know how many times they almost broke it. You noticed the absence, but heaven noticed the private battles, the sleepless nights, the unfinished messages, and the moments when your name rose into their mind without warning. There is something you need to understand before the greater revelation can be placed before you. The person tied to your heart has been trying to live as though their feelings could be managed. They believe time would make everything easier. They convinced themselves that if they stayed busy enough, quiet enough, or distant enough, the intensity would fade. They thought emotion could be postponed until it became harmless. But true connection does not disappear simply because it becomes inconvenient. What they buried did not die. It waited. It waited beneath every ordinary conversation. It waited beneath every smile they gave other people. It waited in the silence after the room became empty. It waited whenever someone asked them if they were truly happy, and they answered too quickly. It waited each time they saw something that reminded them of you and pretended it meant nothing. Then something happened. Do not skip this moment, because what happened was not dramatic in the way the world expects dramatic things to be. There may have been no thunder, no crowd, no public announcement. It may have looked small from the outside. Yet inside their spirit, it landed like a door being thrown open. They heard something. They saw something. Or someone said a sentence that reached the one place they had been protecting. And suddenly, all the explanations they had used to stay away from you no longer sounded convincing. For a long time, they told themselves they needed more time. They told themselves they were protecting you. They told themselves the circumstances were too complicated. They told themselves that reaching out might create more confusion. But the event that just unfolded exposed the truth beneath every excuse. They were not only afraid of hurting you. They were afraid of how much you matter. That realization has changed everything. Listen carefully, because there is more hidden inside this than a simple desire to speak. They are carrying information you do not yet have. A decision has been made, a truth has been uncovered, or a situation has reached a point where continuing in silence could cost them something they are no longer willing to lose. That something may be you. You have wondered whether your absence affected them. You have asked yourself if they noticed when your energy changed, when you stopped chasing clarity, when you began pulling your heart back from places where it had been left waiting. You may have thought your quiet withdrawal went unseen. It did not. They felt it before they understood it. At first, it appeared as restlessness. They could not explain why ordinary things no longer felt satisfying. Then came the memories, not only of the biggest moments between you, but the small ones. The way you listened. The way your presence made them feel seen. The way you carried tenderness even when you were tired. The way you understood what they did not know how to say. They began remembering things they once overlooked. And each memory carried the same question. What if I waited too long? Do not move away yet. Something huge is waiting inside this message, and the next layer is where everything becomes more personal. Your soulmate recently came face to face with a possibility they had avoided, the possibility that your life may continue beautifully without them. This was not what they expected to feel. They believed you would remain emotionally available while they tried to understand themselves. They believed the connection would stay in the same place, untouched by time. They believed they could return when they felt ready and find your heart exactly where they left it. But something showed them that you are changing. Perhaps it was a photograph where your eyes looked calmer. Perhaps it was a conversation in which your name was mentioned with admiration. Perhaps someone told them that you seemed stronger, brighter, or more focused. Perhaps they sensed that you were no longer waiting with the same ache. Whatever the form, the message reached them clearly. You are not standing still. And now they are afraid that the version of you they assumed would always wait is becoming the version of you who finally knows how precious your peace is. This is why they need to talk to you immediately. They do not want the next chapter of your life to begin without at least telling you what has been held back. They do not want someone else to receive the honesty they should have given you. They do not want to watch from a distance while another person recognizes the value they hesitated to protect. But there is another reason. Something big just happened around them, and it forced them to see how fragile time can be. A plan changed unexpectedly. A conversation revealed more than expected. A person they trusted may have confronted them with the truth. A familiar situation may have suddenly felt uncertain. In that moment, they understood that life does not always wait for people to become brave. This realization did not come gently. It reached them with force. For the first time, they saw the cost of remaining silent not as a distant possibility, but as something already beginning. They looked at the path ahead and imagined never telling you. Never telling you why they pulled away. Never telling you what they felt when your name appeared on their screen. Never telling you how many times they almost chose you openly. Never telling you that some of their coldest moments were not created by a lack of love, but by the fear of being unable to control it. And suddenly, silence no longer felt safe. It felt unbearable. Stay with me, because there is a confession forming, and it is not the confession you expect. You may think they simply want to say, "I miss you." But the truth is deeper. They want to admit that they misjudged the strength of this bond. They thought distance would weaken it. Instead, distance revealed it. They thought avoiding the conversation would bring peace. Instead, every unspoken word grew heavier. They thought another environment, another routine, or another person might distract them. Instead, every comparison brought them back to the same realization. There is something about you they have not been able to replace. Not your appearance alone. Not your voice alone. Not one memory or one moment. It is the way your spirit met theirs. It is the strange familiarity they felt even when everything around you was uncertain. It is the way you awakened emotions they had spent years learning to suppress. They tried to call it timing. They tried to call it attraction. They tried to call it confusion. But what happened recently made those smaller words feel inadequate. They know now that this connection changed them. And when someone finally understands that a connection has changed them, they can no longer return to who they were before it. This is where the urgency comes from. They are standing at the edge of a choice. One path leads toward honesty, vulnerability, and the possibility of building something real with you. The other path leads toward permanent regret. For a long time, they believed regret would be easier than risk. They believed they could live with the question of what might have happened. But now that the possibility of losing you feels real, regret no longer looks peaceful. It looks like waking up years from now and wondering why fear was allowed to decide everything. It looks like seeing you loved properly by someone who was willing to speak. It looks like hearing that you have moved on and realizing they had the chance to stop it. It looks like carrying your name in silence for the rest of their life. This is what has shaken them. But before they speak, they are wrestling with one final fear. They do not know how you will receive them. They do not know if your heart is still open. They do not know whether the pain they caused has changed your feelings. They do not know if you will believe the truth after so much silence. And this uncertainty has made every hour feel heavier. They may be rehearsing the conversation already. They may have written and deleted the first sentence more than once. They may be asking someone they trust what to say. They may be imagining your response, hearing your voice, and feeling their courage rise and fall. Yet beneath all the fear, something stronger is beginning to grow. The need to be truthful. The need to tell you what happened. The need to explain why this moment has become impossible to delay. Do not misunderstand the energy around this. This is not a promise that every word will arrive perfectly. Your soulmate may not speak like a poet. They may stumble. They may hide behind ordinary language at first. They may begin with something small because the truth feels too large to release all at once. They may ask how you are. They may say they have been thinking. They may mention something that appears unimportant. But listen beneath the first words. The first sentence will not be the whole message. It will be the door. Behind that door is a truth they have guarded for longer than you know. And this is why you must not judge the conversation by how it begins. Some of the most life-changing confessions enter quietly. A simple, "Can we talk?" can carry months of emotion. A hesitant, "I need to tell you something," can carry a decision that changes two lives. A late-night message can hold the courage someone has been gathering through many sleepless nights. Stay till the end, because there is another detail heaven wants you to recognize. The big thing that happened did not only frighten them. It also liberated them. Something they feared has already occurred, and surviving it made them realize they are stronger than they thought. A truth they tried to avoid has already been exposed. A plan they depended on may have fallen apart. A person who influenced their choices may no longer hold the same power. A situation that once kept them emotionally trapped may have finally shifted. What looked like disruption may have become permission. Permission to stop pretending. Permission to choose differently. Permission to say your name without hiding the feeling behind it. Permission to admit they want a future that includes you. You may not yet see the movement because spiritual change begins before visible change. Roots move beneath the soil before the ground breaks open. Decisions form in private before words reach the air. Courage gathers in silence before someone finally presses send. But the movement has begun. Your soulmate is no longer asking whether they should speak. They are asking how soon. There is a difference. The question has shifted from possibility to timing. And timing is narrowing. They feel that if they remain silent much longer, the opportunity may close. That is why their heart is restless. That is why reminders of you have become impossible to ignore. That is why the recent event felt less like coincidence and more like a direct confrontation with truth. They have been shown what life could feel like without you. And they did not like what they saw. Still, you must protect your peace while this unfolds. You are not being asked to chase. You are not being asked to force a conversation. You are not being asked to abandon the wisdom you gained through pain. You are being prepared to hear with clarity. There is a difference between reopening your heart blindly and listening from a place of strength. You are not the same person you were when the silence began. You have grown. You have survived questions that once kept you awake. You have learned that love without honesty creates confusion. You have learned that connection must be matched by courage. You have learned that your heart deserves consistency, not only intensity. These lessons were not given to make you cold. They were given to make you discerning. When your soulmate speaks, you will not only hear their words. You will feel whether those words carry responsibility. You will notice whether they are bringing truth or only emotion. You will recognize whether they are ready to build or only afraid to lose access to you. This is why your season of silence was not wasted. It trained your spirit to recognize the difference. And there is something else you must know. They are aware that an apology may be necessary. They know they cannot simply return as though nothing happened. They know your heart kept records even when your mouth remained quiet. They know there were moments when you needed clarity and received confusion. They know there were times when their distance made you question your worth. They may not yet understand the full depth of what you carried, but the recent event has begun opening their eyes. For the first time, they are looking at the situation not only through their own fear, but through your experience. They are imagining what it felt like to wait. They are imagining what it felt like to wonder. They are imagining how their silence may have sounded like rejection, even when rejection was not what they felt. This realization has humbled them. And humility is preparing the conversation that pride once prevented. Do not skip what comes next, because the revelation becomes even more unexpected. There may be another person involved in what just happened, but not in the way you fear. Someone may have spoken about you. Someone may have challenged your soulmate's version of the story. Someone may have asked them a question they could not answer without exposing their true feelings. Perhaps someone noticed the way their energy changed when your name was mentioned. Perhaps someone said, "Why have you not told them?" Perhaps someone reminded them that real love should not be punished for arriving at an inconvenient time. Perhaps someone revealed that you had been misunderstood. Whatever was said, it broke through the wall. Your soulmate may have defended their silence at first. They may have listed every reason the connection was complicated. They may have spoken about timing, fear, distance, obligations, or uncertainty. But then the question came. A simple question. A question they could not escape. If they disappeared from your life forever, would you be at peace? The answer arrived before they could control it. No. Not peace. Not relief. Not freedom. Loss. That answer changed the atmosphere around them. Because once the heart answers honestly, the mind can no longer pretend not to know. This is the big thing beneath the big thing. The event that happened was only the trigger. The true transformation is that your soulmate finally stopped lying to themselves. They know what they feel. They know what your absence means. They know the silence cannot continue. And now they are preparing to place something in your hands. Not a perfect future. Not a flawless explanation. But the truth. The truth about what happened. The truth about why they waited. The truth about what they want. And perhaps the truth about a decision that has already been made. You may soon notice a sign that the conversation is approaching. Their energy may become more present. You may dream of them unexpectedly. Their name may appear through ordinary circumstances. You may feel a strange emotional pull without understanding why. Do not turn every small thing into certainty, but do not ignore the deeper shift either. Something has moved. The silence is no longer stable. The distance is no longer comfortable. The truth is pressing against the walls that held it. And those walls are beginning to crack. But before you hear what they want to say, heaven is preparing you for the part that may surprise you most. The conversation is not only about their feelings. It is about a choice they made after the big event occurred. A choice involving time. A choice involving your future. A choice that may explain why they suddenly feel they must reach you now rather than later. They have already taken one step you do not know about. Something has been cancelled, changed, confessed, refused, accepted, or set into motion. And your name was at the center of that decision. They have not told you yet because they are trying to find the right way to explain how quickly everything changed. They know that once you hear it, you may look at the entire story differently. You may finally understand why the recent silence felt unusually heavy. You may realize that while nothing seemed to be happening on the surface, a private turning point was unfolding behind the scenes. This is why you were led here now. Not to create fear. Not to make you restless. but to prepare your heart for information that may arrive before you expect it. Remain grounded. Do not run ahead of the truth. Do not write the ending before the conversation begins. Let their actions reveal the depth of their intentions. Let their honesty show you how much they have changed. Let consistency prove what emotion alone cannot. And remember this: you are not receiving this moment as the person who once begged for clarity. You are receiving it as someone who has learned to value peace. That will change the way the conversation unfolds. Your soulmate may expect tears, anger, or immediate reassurance. Instead, they may encounter your calm. They may hear the strength in your voice. They may realize that loving you now requires a different level of honesty than before. And that realization may cause them to reveal even more than they originally planned. Because the moment they sense you are no longer afraid of losing them, they will understand that partial truth will not be enough. They will have to tell you everything. What happened? Who was involved? What they discovered? What decision they made? And why, after all this time, they are suddenly terrified that one more day of silence could change everything. The message is close. The conversation is forming. But there is one final secret beneath their urgency, and it is the part they are most afraid to confess. They did not only realize they could lose you. They learned that someone else may already be preparing to choose you in the way they failed to. And the moment they discovered who it was, what was said, and how serious the situation had become, your soulmate made a decision no one around them expected. Now they need to tell you before that decision reaches you through someone else.